And there's been a lot of reports about Jalen Duren and his next payday. I think Amari had reported that his camp is looking for $40 million annually. I mean, when you kind of look at Jalen Duren's regular season and how he's developed as more of a secondary option with the Pistons, do you think $40 million is an overpay? Do you think it's just right, or where would you feel comfortable with paying him?
So it's interesting because like prior to the postseason, I think you and I both would have agreed like pretty much set the number at Jalen Duren's agents. You know, like whichever number his agent says is the number you kind of agree to, right?
Yeah.
But now you come into this postseason, and that being the roller coaster it is. Um, I'm gonna take my number from Chris Mannix from Peacock and NBC, who is an NBA insider, very respected guy around the league. He says the number for Jalen Duren is around 25 to $30 million now. Executives see it like that throughout the league, and I feel like that's probably fair. And I feel like if you look at this postseason as an outlier for JD, getting him around that number, let's say like $27 million roughly. Um, Jalen Duren replicates the season he had and is able to carry that into the postseason next year. You're looking at this contract like the biggest robbery of all time. Like you just made away like with a crime. I think he's capable of being a max level guy. I think the postseason, for whatever reason, just didn't go his way, and that's ultimately going to affect negotiations. I think the only way things kind of creep up into that $40 million range is if they let him test restricted free agency, and there's teams like Chicago or LA or whomever that contact him and try to give him the max. Then you're in those conversations. But if JD and the Pistons are willing to come to a deal before restricted free agency opens, I think Mannix's report probably would be accurate, and I think most Pistons fans would be pretty happy with that.
Yeah, I mean, 40's a lot. I know there were reports before the playoffs like max, and I was like, I don't know if you can really build a team with two guys that are on like rookie scale maxes of like Cade and Duren. So I know some people are like me, where they're more visual learners. So I made a graphic to kind of outline the players next year at the center position of what they make. So we'll just use the 40 million report for context. So that would put him as the seventh highest paid center next season. And you look at some of the guys on this list. I mean, would you say Jalen Duren is better than Bam right now?
Well, that's kind of hard to say considering this is a season where Bam Adebayo dropped 83 points. Uh, so I feel like I still might go Bam. But ironically, Jalen and Bam have kind of been compared to
Yeah.
each other throughout Duran's career, and I think that's someone you can inevitably see him kind of reaching. And I think Duran can definitely be around the Bam tier for sure.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned like 25 to 30 with the Manic stuff. I mean, like that kind of puts him like around like Isaiah Hartenstein, Jared Allen, Miles Turner, Nick Claxton, which I think he's better than Nick Claxton. I think he had an incredible game against Nick Claxton. I love Miles Turner, but looks like he's pretty looks like there's not a lot of light at the end of the tunnel with him. He seems pretty, I don't want to say he's washed, but he's getting older for sure.
Yeah, it's weird because he's like, is he's got to be like 30 at the oldest, right? Like
Yeah.
29, 30. But he did have a weird season. I think Miles Turner in the right situation because I do not see him almost under any circumstances entering next season as a Milwaukee Buck. I think in the right situation he'll be okay, and I think he'll look more like the Miles Turner we saw in Indiana. But yeah, I'm with you. I definitely feel like if you're looking at this kind of salary breakdown, you see Jakob Poeltl, who which is funny because like Jakob only at 19.5 million, but kind of being an unmovable contract for Toronto's kind of hilarious. Because that's really not that much money in today's NBA. But Zubac being at 20 million, Nas Reed 23, Claxton 23, Turner 26, Jared Allen 28, Hartenstein 28. I think these are all guys that you want Duren to play similar to in a postseason environment. I think you could say that Duren comfortably was better than any of these guys in the regular season. but the postseason does unfortunately matter when it comes to negotiations, and it's the most recent thing that you've done, right? Like, it's unfortunate. It's like that "what have you done for me lately" kind of thing, but it's how the business side of it works. Being 22 plays to his favor, but yeah, I'd say talent wise, he's around the top 5 of this easily.
Yeah.
But pay structure wise, I could see him around that like set I'd go 8 to 10 range probably.
Yeah, my only fear is if you do pay him, like, let's say you give him like the Alperen Sengun money, like 35 to close to 40 a year, you have to get everything else right. Like you can't have any more misses, you can't have any more free agency like whiffs. I think you have to get everything correctly right because like if he's your second best player, your second option, and he's 35, 40 million, and you're not getting that production that you want in the playoffs, then you might have to retool in a couple of years.
For sure. I just it's hard. I have a hard time envisioning that he actually does get that 35 to 40 million this summer just because of how things went. Um I think having him in between that like Miles Turner to Isaiah Hartenstein kind of range, I think you're pretty comfortable with that. And I feel like that's pretty realistic. I feel like you get him in that range. You still have Trajan Langdon's favorite term, which is optionality. You still have optionality. You still have some room to maneuver this offseason, in terms of looking at guys to bring in and trade or free agency. You still have the ability to do things like that. Obviously, the Tobias Harris contract situation opens up around like $25 million in cap space. So, um, obviously the Pistons are going to try and bring Tobias back, but just he'll most likely be on a cheaper deal as well. So you have room to move if he's between that 26 to $28 million range.
Yeah, hopefully, it's just hardball. Like you're going in with the max, and maybe you can kind of meet in the middle. I
Yeah,
would be
for
happy
sure.
with, but I mean, like you mentioned, like if LeBron leaves, the Lakers might just throw him a restricted free agency offer. I mean, I'm sure Luca would love throwing lobs at Duren.
He would. But if you're Trajan Langdon, honestly, and I think if you're Jalen Duren as well, um, and you do see a future here, which it's hard not to, right? Like him and Cade play so well together. He's established himself as a member of the core of this team. Um, I feel like you look at JD and you look at the Pistons. I have a hard time seeing him actually reaching that level of restricted free agency because I believe there's that period from I don't know when it begins officially. I mean, obviously, guys are already negotiating. If we're going to be so honest,
Yeah,
um, but there's that period where teams officially can negotiate with their own free agents, and I believe their restricted free agents is part of that. Before any restricted or unrestricted free agency opens, and I totally expect them to get a deal done during that time.
yeah. I think a lot of the reporting is just like initially like what these agents want, not so much what the players want. Like the agent's job is to try to get their players the most money as
For
possible. So I
sure.
mean, they're like Duren's representations probably saying, yeah, we want a max. Like, and if they meet them in the middle, they're probably happy.
Yeah, totally.